Good evening. It is 7 o'clock on the dot, and I'm going to call the contest to order. Good evening again. I am Carl Cross, and I am your Division F Director and one of your SAA's Sergeant at Arms for the contest tonight. I'd like to welcome fellow Toastmasters and honored guests to District 57 Speech Evaluation Contest 2021. Thank you for joining us for this exciting virtual event. Before we officially start the contest, I'd like to invite our tech host, David Dye, to announce some meeting logistics.
Thank you very much, Carl, for opening up the contest. Dear fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, in order to view the contest properly, we'd like you to spend a couple minutes ensuring that you have the ideal video settings. So you should see only the speaker and timers window when their videos are on, and not all the black squares with audience members' names when their videos are turned off. Now I have a whole paragraph here, so to make it easy, I'm going to share a screenshot of 2 slides. Then make sure that you have the right setting. I'm going to share a screen here. So go to your Zoom and then go to this place, right? Start video. So there's an arrow there. Click on the arrow button. Yeah. And then you are going to come to this page, this setting page, and then click on the video and find this hide non-video participants option. If this one is not checked, please go ahead to check it. Yeah, I hope you are able to follow me. So start from here and come to this page and check this one. And this is going to be saved automatically. You don't need to save. I'm going to stop sharing. Now, if you already check that option, then you are all set. And you can go back to the speaker view. So encourage everyone to stay on the speaker view during the whole contest. At the end, maybe you want to go to the gallery view. So I assume that you know what is the speaker view and the gallery view. Now, with that, so during the contest, it is incredibly important that everyone is muted, both for the sound and the video, so the contestants can be seen and heard without distraction. All participants should have been muted by default when you entered. So make sure you are muted. If you're not muted yet, please go ahead and mute yourself. And then make sure that your camera also turn off. Also, while the contestants are giving their speeches, only the speakers' video and the timers' video are allowed by Toastmasters International to be turned on. So at any given time, we're only going to see the timers, but not the timer, the person, the timer's time card, and also the contestant, and maybe Toastmasters sometimes. Do not project visual or verbal cheering support of any contestant at any time during the contest, as it may distract from the judge's ability to concentrate, right? We will remind the individual to turn their video off once. Failure to stop your video may mean that your video will be turned off by the tech host and the co-host, and you will be unable to turn it back on through the remainder of the contest. It's very severe. Consequence, very severe. No photographies, screenshots, or video recordings are allowed during the contestants' speeches, except with advanced approval from the contest chair. We will be recording this whole contest. If you do not wish to be recorded, please keep your video off throughout the event. You can see the content is being recorded from the beginning. If you have any technical questions, please send myself a private chat message, but not during the contest when the contestant is giving their speech. At the time, the chat window will be turned off. Now, if you don't have any questions, anybody? Please join me welcoming our district contest chair, Wayne Locke.
Thank you, David, for being our tech host. Welcome, Toastmasters and guests. Before we begin, I want to recognize the dignitaries who have joined us today. The district-wide officers who are in the audience at this moment. I see George Marshall, who is our Program Quality Director. And before that, we have Ben Bohofer, who is our District 57 Director. Yay! Unfortunately,
Jim
Julie Garrett.
Doyle. I'm Jim Doyle, past district governor. I don't have a video. I just wanted to acknowledge myself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Unfortunately, our club growth director, Julie Garrett's unable to join us today, but she sent our warmest regards. I also want to show our appreciation to Ed Cullen, Public Relations Manager, Linda Pan, our Finance Director, Lisa Fairchild, who is our District TLI Dean, and Kevin Marco, our immediate past District Director, Randy Ellington, past District Director, Dennis Dawson, a past District Governor, and you just heard him highlighting his past achievement. Thank you very much for attending today's contest. There are many others who we want to recognize, but we do have our 9 dedicated division directors, 34 audacious area directors, and we have appointed roles and chair positions for District 57 Toastmasters for the program year 2020 to 21. If you have video, please turn on your video and wave. Thank you very much. We're glad that you are here. And thank you for your service to District 57 and to Toastmasters International. Speech contests are an important part of Toastmasters education program. They provide an opportunity for Toastmasters to gain speaking experience, as well as an opportunity for other Toastmasters to learn by observing proficient speakers. Thank you all for being on this virtual contest to learn and to grow alongside our speakers. Our contest Toastmaster this evening is Stephanie Stewart. Stephanie is a member of Chamber Chatters Toastmasters Club here in Division D, District 57 Toastmaster, and also we Mark Harbo Speaker Toastmasters in Arizona. Please help me welcome our contest Toastmaster, Stephanie Stewart.
Thank you, Wing. Okay, before we begin our contest, let's check in with our Chief Judge, Hans Thoma. Mr. Chief Judge, have all the contestants, judges, timers, and ballot counters been briefed and are ready?
Yes, that is correct.
Excellent. Well, I was told that it was very important that I stay on script and I explain all of the contest procedures. So this morning, I was at the gym and between sets, I was setting my script here and somebody came up and asked me what I was doing because normally between sets, people don't study scripts. And I told them I was a Toastmaster and they said, isn't Toastmasters for old people? And I didn't know what to do. I thought surely that they were talking about the Rotary Club, but I didn't have a comeback. So I'm going to clearly and succinctly read over our procedures for you tonight. Okay. The overview of the speech evaluation contest procedures are for the benefit of our guests and our newer members. The purpose of an evaluation is to motivate the speaker to continually improve by providing reinforcement for their strengths and gently offering useful advice. The test speaker will start the contest with a 5 to 7 minute speech. During the test speech, the contestants will take notes. Upon completion of the speech, all contestants will be moved to a separate breakout room where they will be monitored by the Sergeant at Arms. The Sergeant at Arms will time 5 minutes. During the 5 minutes, I will interview the test speaker. When the Sergeant at Arms announces that 5 minutes is up, the first contestant will then return to the main meeting and as instructed by the Sergeant at Arms and the technical host. When they return into the main meeting room, we will turn on their microphone and video and remain silent until I ask, contestant 1, can you hear me and see the timer? Once they respond, yes, I can hear you and see the timer, I will then introduce them. To eliminate any perception of bias, I'll introduce each contestant in the same way: the contestant number, their name, and then their name again. Upon completion of the evaluation, the first contestant will turn their video off and the judges will be given 1 minute to mark their ballots. During this time, the next contestant will return to the main meeting, turn on the video and their microphone, and follow the same process. After the final contestant, I will ask an unlimited amount of silence until the judges have completed their ballots. After 5 minutes, I will interview the contestants. The speaking order has been chosen randomly, and I'll announce that order now. So grab a pen and your agendas that are in the chat. Okay, mark your program with the contestant numbers. Contestant 1, Ashwin Ramahan. Ashwin Ramahan. Number 2, Catherine Hersicorn. Catherine Hersicorn. Number 3, Jennifer Sue. Jennifer Sue. Number 4, Shalini Suresh Kumar. Shalini Suresh Kumar. Number 5, Christine Mercado. Christine Mercado. Number 6, Philip Cameron Smith. Philip Cameron Smith. Number 7, Rick Cantor. Rick Cantor. Number 8, Jerome Taylor. Jerome Taylor. Number 9, Minnie Wang. Minnie Wang. Okay, it's time to begin the contest. Test speaker, can you hear me and see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Please help me welcome our test speaker, Kevin Kuminski, 4 flats in a bowling alley. 4 flats in a bowling alley. Kevin Kuminski.
A few years ago, I rode my bicycle across Wisconsin from Lake Michigan to the Mississippi River. 5 days, 200 miles. Now, non-cyclists might find that impressive. Serious cyclists, they would consider it trivial. But for me, it was memorable because of the lessons I learned. Along the way, I had 4 flat tires, and each one of them taught me a lesson about relationships. First, I must tell you that while I can change a bike tire, I really dislike changing a bike tire. I have 2 left thumbs and no patience. So upon getting a flat, my first thought is to look around and see who can help me fix this. This is actually an anomaly of my personality. I'm generally a self-reliant kind of guy, except when it comes to fixing bike flats. Enter a stranger, a friend, a professional, and family. My first flat happened about 10 miles east of Jefferson. I walked my bike to the gas station and began fixing the flat, but I was having problem getting enough air pressure into it. After about a half an hour of frustration, an elderly man in a recumbent bike drove up. Now, here was a guy who had lightly fixed a flat tire a day or two in his life. As Blanche Dubois said in A Streetcar Named Desire, I have always depended upon the kindness of strangers. I asked for and received his assistance. He even showed me why the tire wasn't filling up with enough air. Within 10 minutes, I was on my way, thanking the good Lord for putting this man in my path. That same day, about 15 miles down the road, and only a couple miles from my destination that day, a friend's house in Lake Mills, I noticed my tire was flat again. This time, I didn't even have a spare inner tube. I had just used it an hour before. So dejected, I walked my bike to my friend's house. Now, fortunately for me, he is as handy as I am clumsy. He fixed the flat in no time and even drove me to a store where I picked up 2 new inner tubes. 2 days later, I was in Verona. The weather took a dramatic turn. 48 degrees, pouring rain, and what more, the path I was going to take to my destination was a crushed limestone trail, and it was filled with grit and griminess. I was only a mile down the trail when, you guessed it, another flat. I walked my bike only 100 yards and I found a bike store. The owner there not only fixed my flat, he even provided me with an alternate course of direction to my final destination that day. And it didn't include riding through a limestone slurry. The next several hours tested my fortitude. Mile after mile of biking up these steep hills, only to have to pump the brakes on the way down so that I didn't slip off because of the road conditions. I had ridden 30 miles, no sign of a place to take nourishment or to get dry, when suddenly, in the distance, I saw a bowling alley in the middle of nowhere, but there were 2 cars parked outside. I walked in, dried myself off a little, sat down at the bar, and after a couple minutes, a gentleman came from behind, looked at me rather puzzling, and said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'd like a burger, some fries, and a hot cup of coffee." "Well, we're not actually open. I was just here doing some maintenance, but I can see you could really use a hot meal." So he fired up the grill and made for me probably the best burger I ever had in my life. Later that night, my wife joined me in Mineral Point. It was my last night before that final day when I rode to Dubuque. The next morning, we were having breakfast, and the owner of the B&B came up to me and said, "I've got some bad news for you. Your bike?" "That's right, flat." "You've got to be kidding me. It was perfectly fine when I rode in here last night." He also informed me that the nearest bike store was 20 miles away in Platteville. Now, my next day was 25-mile-an-hour winds coming right at me over some of the hilliest terrain I had ever ridden. I might have given up right then and there if my wife hadn't said, "Honey, I'll drive you to Platteville. You get that flat tire fixed." So I finished that bike ride with a certain pride in the accomplishment. But more importantly, this generally self-reliant guy learned a very important lesson. Our lives are intricately intertwined in ways we don't know or can't understand. We all need others in our lives. A stranger who helps you just because it's the right thing to do. A friend who will do just about anything for you. A professional when you need some expertise. And family when you're really down. And maybe a bowling alley in the middle of nowhere. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Keith. Can you please turn off your video and microphone, but stand by, I'll be inviting you back momentarily. Okay, the technical host will now move the Sergeant at Arms and evaluation contestants to the breakout room to complete their notes. We will wait until the tech host has confirmed that you're all in the breakout room. Sergeant Arms, please signal to the tech host when 5 minutes of preparation time is up.
Yep, room is about to open and all the contestants and SAA met. So get ready. So you will be sent into another room for 5 minutes. The room is open now.
And timer, please indicate to me when 5 minutes have elapsed.
Okay, the timer can start the time right now. So all of them are in another room right now. Stephanie, so you are good to interview the target speaker.
Perfect. Okay. Keith, you're welcome to go off mute. You there? Thank you so much for coming to us with this harrowing story of flats and bowling alley. I was very interested. I enjoy riding my bike with my son, but that's quite a long trip. Tell us how you came to go on this long trip.
Well, I've always liked bicycling, and this was about 15 years ago, and I was looking for a challenge, and I thought I could do it. Like I said, 200 miles in 5 days is not a big deal for most people, and I could probably do it with my eyes closed nowadays. But at the time, I wanted to make sure I didn't bite off more than I could chew. So I thought it would be a fun challenge.
That sounds good. Well, that sounds like a lot more than I could choose. So I am definitely impressed, especially with all those challenges. Tell us, how long have you been a Toastmaster and what club are you in?
I'm in 2 clubs in Wisconsin. One's a corporate club called Rockwell Automation, and the other is a community club called Smokey's Sensation. It's primarily people from the Forest Service, so Smokey the Bear, Smokies. Yeah, and I've been a Toastmaster for 24 years.
For 24 years. Isn't it always fun to hear how people get their names for their clubs? I bet there's a lot of fun stories you have in your Smokey the Bear group.
Yeah, they actually wanted to change the name a couple years ago, but the meeting when they were going to vote on it, they had a guest appearance by Smokey the Bear. So yeah, so like, okay, that one's off the table.
Okay, we have to hear more about that. Tell us what you thought when you saw Smokey the Bear walk in the door.
Oh, that was, I wasn't a member of the club at that time.
Okay. I can't even imagine. Well, we also learned a little bit about you in your interview before, that you also enjoy running and historical board games and genealogy.
Yeah, kind of eclectic mix, I know.
That is quite a mix. What's your favorite board game?
Oh,
Well, one that we might know. You said historical, so that kind of threw me off. Maybe explain that to me a little bit.
yeah, it's kind of like Risk, but on steroids. So
Okay.
yeah.
And who do you play these games with?
I'm really fortunate to have a bunch of friends that I've been gaming with every week for almost 40 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. We're doing it virtually now. But
Okay. Are you looking forward to get back to in person? Do you have any idea when that might be?
your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, we're trying to get together outdoors, right? Well, tell me about a time when you were when you're doing some genealogy and you had an amazing discovery. Have you had any wild insights to that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, interesting for me, I guess, when I was always interested in it. And as a child, I would ask my family, what's our name? I don't know anybody with that name. What kind of name is that? And they said, it's Irish. You know, our ancestry is from Ireland. And I asked my dad and my grandpa, and nobody knew. Like, who came from Ireland? You know, and yeah, nobody knew. And through the course of my research, I found out it was my great grandfather and my great great grandfather, who was alive and lived 2 blocks away from my grandfather until his age 9, something like that. And my grandpa didn't even know that his grandpa was from Ireland. And so when I was able to show him, yeah, it was your grandpa that came from Ireland, he was amazed. So that was kind of a rewarding experience.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. I've heard people, get to ask your family member stories, and they kind of just give you a general idea. But I am really interested in genealogy, but I haven't explored it myself. So I'm going to ask you a few more questions about it. How do you even begin? Where do you even start?
Well, I was pretty fortunate in that I started doing my research when I was in college, and the Milwaukee Public Library was a 10-minute walk from there. And most of my ancestors have been in Wisconsin from before Wisconsin was even a state. So yeah, so there was so much that I could do right there in Milwaukee. It was, I don't want to say easy, but it was, relatively easy. That was, well, I don't have to say how many years ago. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time.
when I was in college, and say before the internet. Nowadays most people do research online.
I was going to say I had to use microfiche one time in college, and I couldn't get the hang. Yeah, I couldn't get the hang of it. It didn't really work for me. But so you actually did it and succeeded, I guess.
Yeah, I was fortunate that one of the jobs I've had in my career, I traveled to Salt Lake City quite a bit, and the Church of Latter-day Saints there has a library which is unbelievable, and I would travel there probably once a month, once every other month, and instead of going out for dinner or having a drink, which is difficult in Salt Lake City, but
I've lived there, I know.
yeah, okay, yeah, so you know about the library probably.
Yeah.
I would just go spend hours in the library doing research, and that was really about the only place that you could do that back in those days.
That is so rewarding. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for sharing your exciting story about your flat tires and getting a warm meal from the nice guy at the bowling alley. That was a surprising twist. I thought he was going to turn you away, honestly. So.
Me too.
Okay, our timer's showing 5 minutes. I want to see if our contestants are done.
Yep. So I'm going to bring back the first contestant, and thank you. I'm going to jump over there to let them know. I'll be back in 10 seconds.
Okay. Yes, I lived in Salt Lake City for about, or just north of Salt Lake City for about 10 years, but there's a lot of outdoor activities to do there too. But
yeah, it's if I couldn't live in Wisconsin, which I love, Salt Lake would be right up there. It's I found it a very enjoyable place.
Yeah, it's a nice place to be. Utah in general is nice. But, well, okay. So I'm excited to hear what they have in store for you.
Yeah, he or she is coming back.
Okay, perfect. Keith, thank you so much. You're welcome to turn off your video and mute yourself.
Okay.
He is on the way.
Okay.
Okay, let me see. Maybe he's not able to come back. Let me bring it back here. Okay, name evaluation 1, right? Ashwin.
Ashwin. Okay, I'm supposed to get serious again, so follow my script. Okay, contestant number 1, can you hear me and see the timer?
I can hear you and I can see the timer.
Okay. Contestant number 1, Ashwin Ramahan. Ashwin Ramahan.
Madam Toastmaster, thank you for the introduction. And Keith, thank you for that humorous and engaging story. I really liked how you included a personal experience of yours to share with us today. And I'd like to begin with the parts of your speech that I thought stood out the most. Number 1 was your use of facial expressions and gestures. I think with a speech like this, where you're trying to explain a physical journey from Michigan to Missouri, where you're encountering all of these physical terrains and imagery, it's hard to describe the feeling of that without going through the gestures and imagery in your voice to really show us what you're seeing. And I really liked how you spent time doing that. For example, you talked about the limestone slurry that you struggled to get through with your bike and ended up having a flat tire. So I thought that very much complemented the details you provided in your speech. The next thing I liked in your speech was how you broke it up into clear sections for us. Yes, it was divided into 4 flat tires, but you made sure to connect those 4 flat tires to the overall goal of the speech, which was to say how you depended or how you learned to depend on different people in your life. whether it's the most random encounters with strangers like the elderly man, or how you can depend on the closest people to you, like your family members, in this case, your wife. So I liked how you made that very clear to us in the division of your story. I do have a couple areas of improvement that I can suggest to you though. The first is, at the very end, you concluded that the lesson you learned from this journey is that you learn not to be self-reliant. And the idea that you can depend on others is okay, and you should accept that. But I didn't think you spent enough time showing us that self-reliant part of you. At the very beginning, you said, I'm very self-reliant, but I'm not self-reliant when it comes to fixing my bike. And that's all you really mentioned about that. But I would have liked to see maybe a personal anecdote at the very beginning, a short anecdote, just to show what's an example where you are self-reliant. What's an example where you're so stubbornly self-reliant that you want to do something alone and not have to depend on others? Because if you show us that first and then contrast it with the story where you learn to depend on others, I think that could have made a more emotional connection to the audience that way. And my second point is related to that. Like I said, you did a very good job including gestures and facial expressions, but I thought a lot of your energy went into just delivering the plot points of these 4 flat tires. So if you had spent less energy and time discussing the specific details of the places you visited and how these flat tires came to be, and you spent more time explaining how your self-reliant personality contrasted with the personality that you came to adopt based on this adventure, I think that also would have helped your speech resonate more with us as the audience. But overall, like I said, I think you did a great job with gestures and imagery for delivering a personal anecdote like this. Your speech was very well organized, and those few areas of improvement to your speech could really make it resonate more with the audience. And thank you again for your speech today.
Thank you, contestant number 1. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Thank you. Contestant number 2, can you hear me and see the timer?
On the way, yeah.
Oh. Contestant number 2, can you hear me and see the timer?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see the timer.
Contestant number 2, Catherine Hershikorn. Catherine Hershikorn.
That was a great way to spend 5 to 7 minutes on a Friday evening. Thank you, Keith, for that really fun speech. And thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, judges, and dignitaries. Persuasion is a important skill for success in many areas of life, but it's also particularly important in delivering a dynamic speech. And all of the elements that go into the art of persuasion are things that we diligently practice in Toastmasters. And I can tell that Keith has diligently practiced many of the elements of persuasion. Keith was very adept at his storytelling, and storytelling makes your speech so memorable. It's the thing that persuades the audience to come on board, and he did that. He painted beautiful pictures with his imagery. He had the grit and the griminess. He had the slogging up the hill with his hand motions, and he even had a quote from Streetcar Named Desire. So it was really a great story, and it caused me to want to jump into the story with him and learn the lessons alongside of him. One of the things that I would recommend that Keith do is to take more advantage of really owning the stage, move around and use more of it, get demonstrative, and really ham it up a little bit. This is your 7 minutes to own this stage. And you really want to take the power in that and make sure that nobody takes their eyes off of you during your 5 to 7 minutes. I also recommend that you tighten up your structure just a little bit. It did flow, the story flowed logically, so that was great, but there was no succinct parts to it. And so I found myself getting a little bit lost, and I think the impact would have been stronger if I'd been able to digest the various components of your journey. So if you keep going with this amazing, impressive storytelling that you have, combined with your word wizardry and vivid descriptions and your imagery that really brought your story into like 3D for all of us, but you add to your repertoire the ability to really own the stage and the power of that stage, as well as get a crisper structure going so that the flow is there, but also we have time to really evaluate each section of your story. And if you do all that, I'm convinced that Keith will soon be the poised and confident communicator extraordinaire that Keith was born to be. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Contestant number 2, thank you. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. Okay, we'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Okay, is contestant number 3 here?
On the way.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Contestant number 3, can you hear me and see the timer? Can you repeat that? I can't hear you. It looks like you're off mute, but I can't hear you.
Try turning on the volume.
Can you turn up the volume of your microphone?
In the you are already unmuted.
How about now?
Yes, I can hear you. Excellent. Contestant number 3, Jennifer Sue. Jennifer Sue.
Good evening and thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and friends who are hopefully future Toastmasters. That is, unless your significant other dragged you here. And thank you especially to our target speaker, Keith. Keith, your speech, 4 Tires and a Bowling Alley, was a wonderful, sentimental, delightful example of storytelling. You took us on a 200-mile, 5-day journey. There were so many positive things about your speech, and I'm going to start there with the strengths. The first thing, your speech had a message, had a theme that we can all relate to, in that we all need each other. We can't do it on our own. And you developed this theme, not by telling us, not by lecturing to us, but by using 4 stories, 4 anecdotes to illustrate your point. So that was wonderful. And that leads to a segue of the second strength. Your speech was very organized, which made it easy to follow. You related 4 flat tires to your 4 anecdotes, i.e. your friend, a stranger, a family member, and a professional helping you. So I was able to easily follow your narration. I didn't get lost at all on that journey. And the third strength was your use of hand gestures. Your content was great, but another important part of speech is delivery. So you were able to deliver that journey by using well-placed hand gestures throughout that emphasize the meaning of your speech. Now, I have a few recommendations for you to consider to make a strong speech perhaps even better. And the first one is related to a strength that I talked about, the theme. I think that you could relay the theme with even more emphasis if you started out your journey really emphasizing that you were going to do this on your own. You didn't need any help. And that would make the denouement, the final resolution, even stronger, that you changed your mind and realized we all need the help of others. Then my second and third recommendation are to add spice to your storytelling by using dialogue. You interacted with 4 different helpers along the journey. Perhaps place yourself in a different spot with each person to emphasize that journey. This is about a journey, and use dialogue, and also describe the characters in your story. We want to see them as well. So in summary, great theme, great storytelling, great use of hand gestures. To consider, use dialogue, develop your theme even further, and move around the stage. So thank you so much for taking us on this journey. In 5 to 7 minutes, we covered 200 miles. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. That's number 3. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. 1 minute of silence for the students to mark their ballot. Thank you. Contestant number 4, can you hear me and see the timer?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, I can hear you see you, and I can also see the timer.
Contestant number 4, Shalini Suresh Kumar. Shalini Suresh Kumar.
I have been trying to buy a bicycle for the past year, but alas, this pandemic. Do you have a bicycle? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and Keith. Keith, you delivered a powerful speech this evening. The most impressive part of your speech was how you weaved your personal story and conveyed a key message, a message that we all need each other. You shared a medley of experiences from your life. You shared about your trip that you took in Wisconsin that lasted 5 days, where you covered 200 miles. You also told us about how this journey was riddled with 4 flat tires. But luckily, you received help, sometimes from strangers and other times from family and friends. Your speech had elements of hope, humor, and inspiration. As an audience, even though I was listening to you for the first time, I could latch onto these elements and feel connected to you as an audience. I loved that you included a signpost at the beginning. You told us what you'll tell us, and you delivered on that promise. By including a signpost, you anchored me as an audience, and I was eager for you to share the lesson that you learned. The part that stayed with me the most, though, was the phrases that you used throughout your speech, be it 2 left thumbs, or the anomaly of your personality. These phrases brought your speech to life. Truly, it was a remarkable speech. How do we take this remarkable speech and make it even better? I have 2 opportunities. The first opportunity that I see is with character voices. Your speech had you, your wife, and the elderly gentleman. What if each character had a voice? By using vocal variety and adding that character voice, your speech would have that extra dimension. The second opportunity that I see is in the way you engage the audience. I would have loved for you to include a few questions throughout your speech. The audience is giving you 5 to 7 minutes of your time after all. Ask us questions, work us. That way, you'll have our ear throughout the speech. Those were the 2 opportunities that I felt you missed on. In summary, consider working on the way you engage the audience by including questions and incorporating character voices to enhance your speech. Keep up the great work on telling a personal story with a key message, including a signpost to anchor the audience and your word wizardry. Thank you for teaching me that we all need each other today, especially relevant in times of today. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, contestant number 4. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Contestant number 5, can you hear me and see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Contestant number 5, Christine Mercado. Christine Mercado.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. My fellow Toastmasters and Kevin, tonight, Kevin talked about how, as independent as we are, that sometimes we need each other because we're all intertwined. And he didn't do it with facts and figures. 80% of people, when they ask for help, feel so much better. He didn't tell us with anecdotes. One time my friend Doug asked for help and it was really help. He found it very beneficial. He told us with a personal story. of a time that was very stressful to him. Kevin, your storytelling tonight was amazing, and it was greatly enhanced by the congruency of your gestures and your voice. We saw big gestures when things were dramatic. We saw one hand or two hands when you were being matter of fact, and then your voice modulated to your gestures to really help us understand and visualize the story. Now, one of the things that you did is you started to tell us how you felt with these 4 different instances where you needed help. And we really wanted, it really could have been helpful to see more of that, because we saw the visual journey of where you were and what happened in the bowling alley. And I really wanted more of what was the emotional story. Given that someone is so independent, what is it like to need help one time, and then another time, and then a third time, and then to call your family? Was it awkward? Were you embarrassed? Did you have some struggle inside? So I loved when you started to tell us how you felt, and I really wanted more of that. And then finally, a technical piece. But I would love to see more direct eye contact. So one of the struggles with Zoom is sometimes it's hard to feel really connected from an eye-to-eye contact. And what I saw was sometimes your eyes looking one way and other times looking another way. And I thought, oh, that's kind of mimicking an audience. But one thing that I've seen people do that's really effective is to find a place in the video camera that looks like it's mimicking looking at someone directly in the eye, and just go there every once in a while. But overall, really loved the storytelling tonight. You had congruency in your voice and in your gestures. You showed us feeling. We want more of it. And thank you for helping us understand that we all need help from each other. Thank you.
Thank you, contestant number 5. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Do we have contestant number 6? Contestant number 6, can you hear me and see the timer? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I think I got muted on entry.
Contestant number 6, Philip Cameron Smith. Philip Cameron Smith.
Keith, what a wonderful story. It's such a memorable story. These notes, I don't really need them. You told us a fabulous story that was very personal, it was emotional, and it was impactful at a very personal level. You told it in about a journey that was about riding a bike, but it wasn't just about riding a bike. It was about meeting people. It was about making connections with people and getting help and having the problems and solving them. A very personal human story that resonates with so many people, and it certainly resonated with me. You told it in very simple language that was easy to understand, easy to follow, very clear. You used great gestures. You had your fingers, you had facial gestures, and when you had you used your hands quite a lot in your gesturing. That was very effective and kept them from just hanging at your side. You also had great vocal variety. For example, particularly when you were talking about Blanche Dubois, you had a higher voice, and that also added to the interest and the vocal variety and the impact. How could you make such a great story even better? Well, one thing you notice with your gestures, particularly early in your speech, you tended to have your fingers in the tip to tip position, and that would be where your fingers and hands would go back to after any one of your gestures. And it would also even that you would tend to have to find where your fingers would go each time. So just a little thing, and if you don't know what else to do with your hands, have them in the resting position. I always find that so strange. However, it does look natural to the audience. You also had, I think you had some notes. I think you had them off to the side of the screen, and every so often you would look at them. And I would suggest then, if you are going to use notes, and it's obviously so we don't always have time to practice to the necessary level that we don't use notes. What I suggest you do is you put them right up in the camera, as close behind the camera as you can find it. The closer you get to the camera, the less it will be noticeable to the audience when you look at those notes. And lastly, when you gave your speech, it was always from the same position. With a speech like this, there were certainly opportunities that you could have added some other ways of moving around the stage. Particularly, I thought when you had the bikes being changed, maybe you could step to one side and look down while one of your friends, colleagues, or strangers was fixing the bike for you. And maybe the next one you could have gone to the other side and looked down while they were doing it, just to give extra movement, extra variety. And it also helps to anchor the people in place so that we remember even more clearly what you do. So you had four people help you, and a very memorable story. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, contestant number 6. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Contestant number 7, can you hear me and see the timer? You're on mute.
Yes, I can hear you and I can see the timer. Thank you.
Contestant number 7, Rick Cantor. Rick Cantor.
Yes, I can. That was the first thing I heard you say. It was in response to the contest chair saying, "Test speaker, can you hear me?" But in fact, in a resonant voice, you responded with what might have been the title of your talk. Yes, I can. Every sound and gesture that we make from the time we appear to an audience counts. And you drew me in with that simple, strong, declarative, yes, I can. And indeed, you took us on a journey of, yes, you can, of fortitude in an American travelogue, a bike journey that provided almost like a fairy tale lessons along the way, provided by courtesy of your 4 flat tires. What I liked that you did so well in the construction of your speech was you let the audience hear those lessons again at the end by telling us that the lessons are the interconnectedness, the importance of everybody, of the friend, the stranger, the professional, and lastly, in a moment of glory, the wife with the car representing family. This is a very worthwhile story to tell and a lesson for all of us to take from it. What I think you've done is create a beautiful black and white and gray, almost like a coloring book of a journey that is very rich for all of us. Where I think the improvement lies here is to now get out the coloring materials, the crayons, the watercolors, and let us see it. Paint us the picture of what it was like when that freezing rain was hitting you after all you had been through, and now the pelting rain on top of that. Let us feel what that was like for you, how you were feeling inside, and how you took that requirement of grit and fortitude and turned it around instead, not of anger or upset, but of grace, of gratitude for these 4 people and what they taught you. What I would like is to see more of how that made you feel, that transformation of emotion inside of you to leave us with the real lesson, which is not that the journey from here to there was fraught with different problems that you confronted and overcame, but with the grace of learning that we need each other and surrendering to that. That's a beautiful message to give to us. And again, by using language that's more colorful, metaphors. You know, when something fails again, think of something you did previously that failed repeatedly and what that made you feel like. Describe things in metaphor to really bring us in and feel your pain. And then I think you'll really have taken this into a story that really can live on as a beautiful American folklore almost. Thank you.
Thank you, contestant number 7. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Contestant number 8, can you hear me and see the timer?
I can, yes.
Contestant number 8, Jerome Taylor. Jerome Taylor.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and most importantly, Kevin. We had fun, and that's the most important part. You gave us a fun speech. Now, what I'm going to do today is tell you what you did well, what you should do better on before you give the speech again. And if you really want to push yourself, I'm going to tell you what to challenge yourself on. So let's start with what you did well, because that's the most important part. You had a good title, not a great one, and I'll come back to that, a good title, and it was interesting, and it set up the organization of your speech. You use good visual imaging, and you use good funny phrases like two left thumbs, as handy as I am clumsy. But what you really did well was create emotions with your language. You showed us the dauntingness of how going on the crushed limestone trail was going to drain you. When you had your 4 flats, on the first flat, you showed us the annoyance of having 1 flat. You showed us the surprise of having a second. You showed us the anguish of having a third, and you showed us the utter resignation of having a 4th flat. The 4 flats did coincide strongly with 4 individual experiences you had with a stranger, a friend, a professional, and family, and a Blanche Dubois quote in a speech. Mwah, well done. What you could do better. We need more exposition. You didn't give us the why you were on this 500-mile journey. And it kind of seemed like a hero's tale where we don't know why the hero started the journey. If you take my analogy, if you remember the A-Team, when Mr. T would need to get drugged or put to sleep to get on the airplane, we just want to know why you got on the journey, and we don't want to wake up on the plane. If you really want to improve this speech, when you come up with the why, you want to wrap your call to action into the why of the speech. So you had a call to action. The call to action was to recognize the unexpected connections. But if you could tie that into the why that you give us from the necessary improvements that you need to do, then we will have a stronger call to action. We'll understand why we're doing the recognizing of the unexpected connections. The most important thing, again, is that we had fun. And I know I gave you a lot, so let's recap. What you did well: good visual images, good organization. What I wanted more from you is a title that could be shorter. Your title was 4 flats in a bowling alley. Let the bowling alley be a surprise. 4 flats ties you to the organization of the speech and the 4 incidents, and that's good enough. Let the bowling alley be a funny surprise. And if you really want to improve the speech, give us more exposition as to the why, and then tie your call to action into that reason for the journey. You did good. You can do great. The most important thing of all the stuff that I gave you here is that you can do this, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, contestant number 8. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Contestant 9, can you hear me and see the timer?
Yes.
Contestant 9, Minnie Wang. Minnie Wang.
Hello, everyone. This is Minnie, and it's my honor today to give evaluation to Keith. And today I want to share 3 things I really like about your speech and 3 things I personally think you can improve on. First of all, I really like the structure of your whole speech. You open with very specific situation and numbers. You share about like 5 days and 200 hours. So that give me a very specific idea about how the situation was. And then you give an outline of your speech, like 4 flat tires and 4 relationships. You talk about strangers, professionals, family, and friends. So it's very easy to follow. It's very easy for me to follow the speech. And the second thing I really like about is your personal story. It's all personal stories, which I highly appreciate. Because to me, personal story is very important when it comes to public speaking. We can all talk about Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, but when you, Keith, get on the stage, I would like to know more about you as a person. And the third thing I really like about your speech is your key message. You talk about appreciation, and this topic is very empowering. I truly believe the future believes in those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And our friends, family, professionals, and even strangers, they're an essential part of this beautiful, beautiful dream, aren't they? So thank you for talking about this. And also, I think it's easy to give appreciation to strangers and professionals. And sometimes we forgot to appreciate the person by our side, our friends and family. So thank you for adding those on the speech. And a couple things I personally think you can improve on. The first, maybe the stage utilization, because the camera you set up is a little bit lower. So when you talk and look at the audience, it feels like you're looking down a little bit instead of at the same level. And also, I think you're looking on your script. I can see your eye going from left to the right. So maybe a little bit more practice will help. The second thing is about your summary. I think maybe after each little story, you can add a little summary sentence. So it's easier for the audience to get a takeaway. And also at the end of the speech, you can give a call of action. So everybody knows what can we take away at the end of the speech. And the third but not the least, I would recommend a little bit more vivid description. Because I remember you talk about the burger when you go to the restaurant, right? How about adding a little bit more? Because a good speech not only take us back to where you were, but also it can enable us to feel, to see, and even to smell what you experienced before. So when you describe the burger, share with us maybe when the burger come out, how it looked like. And when you bite into it, the crunchiness of the lettuce and the tenderness of the beef is a perfect combination so that we can taste the burger together with you. But overall, very good speech, and I enjoyed all of it. And thank you for being here today. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, contestant number 9. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We'll have one, okay, let's see. Okay, excellent. So judges, you have been previously given instructions on how to submit your ballots. On how to submit your ballots. If you have any questions, please privately contact the chief judge. The tech host is going to open the chief judge room, and please contact the chief judge room, and the ballot counters will be moved into the room now.
Yeah, the room is opening right now.
Okay. We'll have a 5-minute period of silence for the judges to complete and submit their ballots. During this silence, please watch the screen for announcements of upcoming District 57 events. Timer, can you please signal red when 5 minutes is up?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, the ballot counters and the Toastmaster are in that room right now.
Excellent. And I'll turn off my screen and you'll share your screen, David?
Yep.
5 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to do our contestant interviews. I would like to invite all of our contestants back to turn their.
Wait a little bit, Stephanie. Sorry. So let me check with our chief judge to make sure all the ballots have been collected by the judges. Okay, I'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet.
No, no worry. Hey, Stephanie, I'm back here.
I'm here.
Yeah, so all the ballots have been counted, collected, and no more ballot anymore. So you can start your interview.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'd like to invite all the contestants to please turn on their video. We're going to get to know you a little bit better. You all here? Perfect, I can count. Okay, we're going to start with contestant number 1, Ashwin. How are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can you tell us what club you're representing and how long you've been a Toastmaster?
Sure. I'm representing Entrepreneurial Toastmasters of Berkeley, and I joined Toastmasters in November of 2019, so about a year and a half right now.
Excellent. Well, in your interview, your pre-contest interview, I saw something that was very interesting to me, and it was that you have a hobby of Formula One racing.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm a huge car enthusiast, so I like watching Formula One racing. Yeah.
Can you tell me about a special event? Have you been to any of the events, or do you watch them on TV?
I have not been to any of the events, but it's definitely on my bucket list at some point. There's actually one race that happens every year in Austin, which is probably the one that is easiest to get to. So maybe next year, if the pandemic has receded, then that might be a possibility.
Are they racing? Are they having people come to events yet?
I think for the countries, so they race all around the world, but for the countries that have less of an issue with COVID, I think they're increasing the amount of people who are coming there.
Okay, and this is very interesting to me. I'm sorry, I'm going to stick on the same topic, but how did you come to like Formula One racing?
I think I initially, so I used to watch NASCAR with my dad, but I found it very boring because it's just going around in an oval 500 times. So once I started reading more about the different types of racing, I started to watch Formula One races, and they just seemed a lot more interesting. And I think it's not like a sport like football or basketball where there are a lot more players. So you get to know each driver as a personality pretty well. So it's almost like you're watching, it's just a reality TV show, but it's just as a Formula One race. So I like that about it.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't entertained that sport, but my family, they like to watch a lot of different things. I'm usually knitting or not really paying attention, but thank you for sharing your interest of Formula One racing with us, and hopefully we'll get to see you explore that more than just going in circles, right? It's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
All right,
Thanks.
contestant number 2, Catherine, how are you this evening? Let's find you on my screen.
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And in your interview, can you let us know what club you're representing and how long you've been a Toastmaster?
Yes, I represent Downtown Toastmasters of Santa Rosa, and I've been in there almost 2 years.
2 years. And what brought you to Toastmasters?
Oh, the terror of speaking in public. I'm retired, but I do some consulting work, and a lot of that involves getting up in front of people and doing presentations. And I got tired of not enjoying that. It felt like, I really feel like I could enjoy this probably. So joined the club, got so much more out of it than even that. So it's all good. It's a terrific experience. I can't get enough of it. And it's not just for old people.
Right?
The word.
That really happened. I heard Zsa Gabor said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. But that really happened to me, and I didn't have a comeback. So
yeah, that was crazy. I know, that's interesting to know that that's I need to make sure we promote that it's not, because I didn't realize that. So there you go. Thank you for that.
I'm on a mission. I feel like you can be my
Me too. I join you.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's hear from Jennifer. Jennifer, how are you doing?
Well, how are you?
I'm doing well. And what club are you representing, and how long have you been a Toastmaster?
I'm representing Confidence Builders in Concord, and I've been a Toastmaster since 2014.
Awesome. And I see that you work in government and social work. Do you use Toastmasters there?
Yes, I have to do some public speaking at work, and in fact, I joined because I had to speak at a conference, so I was like freaking out, and Toastmasters really helped me get me prepared for that.
Did you, so you've already done the conference and now you've moved on to contests?
Yeah.
Sounds like a natural progression. I also noticed that you like to play piano and crochet, and I also just recently started playing piano again. Tell us about your piano. How long have you been playing?
Oh my gosh, my mom gave me some lessons as a kid, but I got frustrated. And I started because my husband went on this binge of getting pianos because he realized a lot of people give pianos away for free. So we actually have 3 acoustic pianos. So you have to learn how to play when you have 3 pianos in your house, right?
That's awesome. I didn't know people gave pianos away either until I bought one and then had it tuned. And then my piano tuner told me people give them away. So I'm glad that at least you benefit from that.
Good to see you, Beyond.
I'm sorry, what? It's the czar, David from Tech Host World coming in and speaking to us. It's always, throws me off a little bit, but okay, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you did learn how to play. I was told that I also, since I purchased my piano, had to learn how to play, but I love playing piano. So maybe one day I'll not be in the children's learning book and we'll maybe chat about that again another time.
Maybe we can do a duet over Zoom.
Yes, that'd be amazing. That sounds like a good speech too.
Yeah.
Always looking for topics. Everything's a speech, right? All right, let's move over to Shalini. Let's see, where are you? How are you doing?
I am doing great, and props to you for getting my name right consistently. You're on count number 3.
Thank you. Thank you. You had the longest, 3 names in there, and I was, just practicing really hard. So I appreciate the kudos. We can all use a little, bump.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us what club you're from and how long you've been a Toastmaster.
I am proudly representing East Bay Toastmasters. I joined that club back in September last year. Prior to that, I was a part of Bioradical Toastmasters back in Hercules for about a year or so. And then there was a gap. Journey, but I'm just really glad to have reconnected.
Okay, tell us about the moment that you actually made the decision to compete in this contest tonight.
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Madam Toastmaster?
Tell us about the moment that you made the decision to compete this year in the evaluation contest.
It was not as much a decision as our dear club president telling me I'm going to sign you up based on the evaluations that I've done during the club. Hey, sometimes you have to be voluntold. That's just how you show up. So I'm really glad she did, because I think throughout the process, I feel like I've learned so much more than what I expected. So I'm really glad about that.
That's awesome. I haven't competed in any club contests, but I have definitely been voluntold a number of times in Toastmasters of what role was going to be next. But like you, it's always a learning and growth opportunity, right? And so we're all lifelong learners, and we want to do better every time. So I'm glad you took on the challenge. I saw that you like to read. I'm curious, do you actually read, or now in 2021, most people are doing audiobooks? What do you have to say about that?
Good question. Hey, I'm not going to judge people who do audiobooks. I will say, if you can find a way to read. If it's audiobooks, if it's a hard copy, if it's on your phone, it's on your Kindle. Reading is also, again, something that I picked up with the pandemic. And I'm really glad that I did. I set myself a target for a number of books that I wanted to read, and I was able to meet that. So hoping I can repeat that in 2021 as well.
Is there any one book title that you would recommend to us?
The one that comes to mind is called The Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's about the story about Nike. Again, I like the brand, but the book was so much more. It was more about the hustle, but what it takes to build a business that lasts and spans decades. So would recommend that.
Repeat the name so I can write it down.
Shoe Dog.
Shoe Dog. Okay, yeah. Sounds good. Well, I got it down. I'm not going to say whether I'm going to listen or read it, but we'll put it on the list. Thank you. Christine, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
And tell us what club you're from and how long you've been a Toastmaster.
So I'm from Walnut Creek Toastmasters, and I think I've been a Toastmaster for about 6 years.
And you listed your occupation as business innovation. What does that mean?
It means nothing. So what it means is we look to use technology and different ways to do. I'm in healthcare, to do healthcare better. To make it more convenient and to make it easier for people to get healthcare.
Awesome. Well, that's a valiant effort. Healthcare is always a challenge. I know I am an interior designer and I specialize in senior living, so it kind of falls into my world too a little bit.
Yep.
And I saw that you are interested in crafting. I am also interested in crafting, and I want to apologize a little bit to the audience, but not a ton, because I'm just asking the questions that are interesting to me that I want to learn about you. What kind of crafts do you like to do?
Oh, this is going to be embarrassing. So I bought a crafting machine called a Cry-Cut.
Mm-hmm.
And it does everything. You could make t-shirts and mugs. But I decided, because my husband was going to the store for birthdays and buying $8 birthday cards. Like, you should never, I was like, the only thing we fight about is like the $8 birthday card. So I started hand making birthday cards with my crafting machine, and they're personal and whimsical. And, you know, one card might take $20 in 5 hours, but damn it, he's not spending $8 at the store.
Well, it sounds like you won. You got an activity out of it, and then we'll just forget about the dollars after that, right?
Right.
You win. I vote for the crafting machine. Excellent. Well, let's go on to Philip. How are you, Philip?
I'm doing well and glad to be here.
Yeah, likewise. Glad to have you. And how long have you been a Toastmaster? And tell us which club you're representing.
I'm Microcentury Toastmasters in Livermore, and I've been there almost 20 years.
20 years. And in your 20 years, it says that you have served a number of roles in Toastmasters. Tell us about that. What's your favorite leadership role that you've been in Toastmasters?
Oh, it's so hard to pick a favorite child, isn't it? They all have their own special, unique skills and abilities. The role that I've done most often, though, has been Vice President of Education. I've found that clubs work so well when you are constantly on top of who's doing what, when, where. And so I found that I've enjoyed doing that. In our club, we schedule people and then deal with the issues as they show up, and we find that works really well with us. And so I've enjoyed doing that. I've been president, and as president, of course, one's leading the whole club, and instituted a few little changes there. And more recently, I was an area director. And until I was area director, I didn't realize how much more there was to Toastmasters than there was in terms of my club and the educational activities. There were so many people that wanted to help, that were doing things going on behind the scenes. I was just oblivious. So if you get the opportunity to be an area director or somebody else, another role within the district, I really recommend taking it. There's so much to learn, so many good people to meet.
I completely agree. When I was area director, I was also shocked at what goes on behind the scenes, but that was always something I wondered is, how are things running so smoothly? How is this all happening? And no one, I don't know what's going on, but as an area director, you really get some insight into that. I agree. And what is gliding? That's listed as your hobby. What is that?
Gliding is not to be confused with hang gliding. Hang gliding is the triangular parachutes that you hang under and jump off cliffs on. Gliding, those are the sleek white airplanes that don't have an engine on them. And people say, well, why go gliding? It's a challenge. It's harder to go somewhere. Well, I always liken it to powerboating versus sailboating. Powerboating, you get in, you rev the engine, you go somewhere, you go quickly, you can water ski. It's a very active type of sport in that way. Whereas sailboating, it's more about understanding the weather. It's you against the waves and the wind. And gliding's like that. And as somebody who studies the atmosphere, when you're up in the air with no engine and only your knowledge of the atmosphere to keep you up from crashing and burning, you get good and you really are challenging yourself. So I love the challenge, and it's really actually the second safest way of flying after commercial air flight.
Okay, well, I partially don't believe you, but I don't know you very well, so I don't know if I shouldn't trust you just yet, but I'm gonna have to look into it because that sounds terrifying. All right, Rick, let's move on. Rick, how are you tonight?
Oh, really good, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for doing all this.
Good, we're glad that you could make it. And tell us what club you're representing and how long have you been a Toastmaster?
I know that I represent Club 7359 because members of my club texted me to remind me, and that's Toasta Petaluma.
Perfect. And you are a creativity and innovation professor and consultant. That's a lot. You also said that you're interested in art making and you do yoga. Tell me about your creativity and innovation professor and consulting role.
My whole life, I've always been a creative, an ideator, an artist. It's just what I do. It's not good or bad. Some people are technical, some are gymnastic. I just come up with ideas all the time. And so I decided for my 60th birthday to go back and get my master's degree in creativity and innovation. And then they asked me to stay on and teach. So I teach how we can be more creative individually, as teams, and as workplace cultures. Each of those are their own particular opportunity to be better. And at the rate the world is changing, if you're not creating and innovating, you're dead in the water.
I love that. You also mentioned that you like playing with children and that children's laughs inspire you. Do you have any special children in your life that you want to tell a story about?
No, because they're yes and no, but they're all special. I'm the guy who can't walk through the airport to my gate without stopping and playing with every single child along the way. And if a child is crying on the plane, I get up to make them stop crying because I know how to do that because I think like they do. And if you think about creativity and think of 2- and 3-year-olds, they're exactly the same. It's a state of constant amazement.
Well, I have to extend my gratitude, even though I haven't been in that situation with you. As a mother of 2 young children that are 15 months apart, I want to thank you for mothers everywhere, mothers and fathers and parents everywhere, for playing with our children when they're crying on planes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rick. Dro, how are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I can't see you. I'm going to scroll here for a minute. And while I do that, can you tell me what club you're representing and how long you've been a Toastmaster?
I have been a Toastmaster since March of 2015, and I'm here tonight representing Island City Toastmasters here in beautiful Alameda.
Awesome. And you enjoy photography and cooking, 2 things that I am completely clueless about. Tell me, what do you like to cook and why? Why?
So I'm a person that cooks meat. I heard you mention earlier that you are a vegan, so I hope that doesn't make us not friends. But I burn dead animals, and I'm pretty good at it.
Oh my gosh! What do you take pictures of?
People mainly. I take portraits. I don't know if you can see that one, but that's one of my portraits. And anybody that wants their picture taken or is willing to have it taken, I'll take it. I'll try anything.
That's awesome. I never get the right picture. I always get the weird one where someone's doing something awkward, kind of like the Zoom pictures when we all take these, screen. We'll do it a little bit later. I'm sure someone will be blinking.
What you do is crop it and call it art. Right there.
Is there something special? How do you get people to respond to you when you're doing people?
I take a lot of pictures, and I think that's the trick is volume. I really just tell them to act normal, and I record them for minutes on end, and then sift through to see what's interesting.
Well, I like that. Well, you have a great personality, so I'm sure that you can make people laugh and get some great photos. That was a great one that you showed us tonight. Thank you. And we'll move on to Minnie. Minnie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And how long have you been a Toastmaster, and what club are you representing?
I've been with Toastmaster, oh my God, for almost 3 years. Time flies. And I'm representing Fantastic Toastmaster in Fremont. Woo!
All right. I grew up in Fremont. Yay, Fremont.
Oh, nice. Go Fremont.
Funny thing to be cheering about, but anyway. All right. And you said that your dad inspires you. What inspires you about your dad?
That's a good question. I think just in general, he is a very driven and dedicated. So that part inspires me a lot. And I guess when I put on the paper, I didn't really finish the whole sentence. I think the thing I always want to share is my dad taught me how to be strong, and my mom taught me how to be soft.
Oh,
yeah, so they are both my inspiration.
That's awesome. And you enjoy singing and running. Also 2 things not in my wheelhouse. Do you sing now or just in the shower?
I sing, yeah. I sing like early in the morning before I go to bed. Yeah, I think singing is one of the key ways for me to, feel relaxed. Yeah. And running, I haven't been running recently, but I finished my first half marathon 2 years ago, just before the COVID. Yeah, that was quite challenging, and that was very fun. When you're running with hundreds and thousands of people, yeah, that was exciting.
What inspired you to do the half marathon?
It's very interesting because I went to take a scuba diving certificate, and one of my classmates, she said, "Oh, I'm going to participate in the half marathon. Do you want to go?" And it was like a month before the thing going to happen, and I said yes. Yeah, so I kind of hustled a little bit. I prepared not that enough. Yeah, but we finished that together. So that was fun.
Oh my gosh. So you had a month to prepare.
Yeah, yeah. So I basically trained every day.
And I'm always curious, one last question about the running, because this interests me. So how far do you actually run before the race? You don't run the full half marathon, right? Or do you ever really run? It's 13 miles, right?
Right. But I only run it once during my personal training.
Okay.
Yeah, I normally do maybe just half or at most 2/3 of a half marathon. Yeah, because you don't want to train yourself and exhaust yourself before the real event.
Right.
You sound half professional, so you should join us.
Yeah. One day, maybe my husband is tired of all my escapades trying, I want to learn this and I want to try that. So I'll stick with this for now and we'll do running another day, but maybe. Thanks for the invitation.
No problem.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. David, do you have, David, how are we doing on time?
Yeah, they are all back. The
Okay.
result is out, and then, yeah. So
Okay,
you can move on to the next.
Stephanie, do you want to invite the test speaker up and take a picture real quick?
I do. I would love nothing more than
Yeah.
to invite Keith back up onto the screen. We would love to take a photo. And remember, we're going to be charming and keep our eyes open, not be the weird picture.
Right, Keith and Hans, maybe you guys are better Dennis. You can turn off your video, and Merced.
Do you want me to turn off my video?
Mercy can turn off.
Am I off, David?
No, you're not off. Right, so Ivy, you can turn off, and Hans, you turn off. We can take a picture in the gallery view. So everybody, if you want to take a picture, so you can go to the gallery view and can take it from there. So Ivy, if you don't mind, so you can turn off your camera.
And you too, David.
Huh?
And you too.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I cannot be in the picture also, huh? No, I'm going to be the Toastmaster for next time.
And Venice, if you could turn yours off as well.
Trish, wow, so many people there.
So we'll do the contestants and the test speaker.
Here we go. Now we have everyone
Are we
here.
having fun or are we?
Having fun. Just pretend everyone is the winner. There you go. Do. I think, yeah, mission accomplished.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everyone. Okay, well, we will send it back over to Wing, our contest chair. Please welcome back Wing Lock.
Wing here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Wing.
Yes.
A healthy round of applause for our contest Toastmasters, Stephanie Stewart.
Oh, Stephanie.
I'm sure all of you had fun talking to her. So thank you. To all the contestants of this contest cycle, from club, area, division, and especially once again, our district evaluation speech contestant tonight, Ashwin, Ramahan, Catherine, Hirsicourt, Jennifer Sue, Shalini Suresh Kumar, Christine Brocado, Philip Cameron Smith, Rick Cantor, Gerald Taylor, and Minnie Wang. As you have heard just now, contesting is one of the best ways to improve your listening and speaking skills. So spread the word and jump in if you haven't done so. Congratulations on your achievement, and I hope to see more of you compete against yourself. I want to recognize our test speaker, Keith Kaminsky, coming from a few time zones away and completing one of the things that he has not done before. So thank you for stretching your limits with District 57 Toastmasters. From club contest to the World Championship of Public Speaking, volunteers organize to make contests happen. Each world champion begins his or her journey from a Toastmasters club. The volunteers work hard to celebrate the dedication and achievement of the contest speech contestants at each level. These last two contest cycles due to the COVID-19 pandemic not only challenged the contestants, but also the volunteers who worked tirelessly in the background to make the contest happen. We try our best as volunteers, and while free, their efforts are priceless. The contestants and contest volunteers help each other grow in Toastmasters and beyond. So thank you, volunteers in the area and division contest. I want to recognize the district contest team and the volunteers, and I apologize for any mispronunciation. Sergeant Arms Carl Cross and Matthew Sajak. Timer Stacy Swan and Teresa Smith. Bell counter Dennis Dawson, Yoli Iguizabel, and Chuck Karapaya. And the anonymous judges. We have a whole bunch of them. You know who you are. So thank you very much for volunteering your time and effort. And hopefully you learned something out of this contest. And I'll be sending out certificates via email in the next few days. Speaking of volunteers, to those tiptoeing into stepping up in various levels of Toastmasters, and especially in District 57, don't be afraid of the word leadership. There are rock stars who share success and growth with you. We learn as we experience success, and more so, learn from failures in Toastmasters. The team looks forward to share our experience to those who want to learn and to practice as we turn the spotlight onto you. Your future self will want you to say yes now. So before I turn the contest to the District Program Quality Director, I want to add my few spotlights onto my co-chair, Lisa Fairchild and Kate Mills. All the contestants know that the contest went very well because of Kate and Lisa's hard work. I know that they are capable from the other Toastmasters volunteer assignments, but from this and last year's contest, overcoming the complexity of the district evaluation contest and next week's international speech contest would not have been possible without their dedication, their collective experience, and organization skills. Most importantly, their tolerance of me as contest chair. The contest team's success is based on effective communication, having a good plan, and plenty of practices. I share this spotlight with my co-chairs, Kate Mills and Lisa Fairchild. Thank you for saying yes to be my co-chair, my rock, and my rock stars. I turn the contest to District 57 TQD, George Marshall.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Contest Chair Winglock. Contestants, please turn your videos and audios off now, please. Some of you will be seen shortly again soon. Wing has already eloquently thanked people, but that's not going to stop me. Winglock, contest chair, put in phenomenal hours. David Dye, lead tech host, made it all happen, made all the hard stuff of doing the internet look easy. And Chief Judge Hans Tomas answered hard questions for months and months, helped everyone get their contest together. And again, a lot happens behind the scenes. Many of you probably have managed an evaluation contest in person where you walked in and out of rooms. It's doubly, triply hard when you're doing it online. It seemed like it ought to be just as easy, but somehow there are a lot more details. So let's everyone give it up one more time for everyone who made this contest happen. Now, I know you want to hear the winners, but there's a little bit of stuff we want to tell you about first. What do we have coming up in a couple of weeks? The district conference, District 57 conference on May the 1st. Do we have some information about that? I think we have a video we can run here.
Yes, Josh.
Go ahead, David.
Okay. Let me share the video and the sound. It's coming.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Are you ready to bring your life back to life? Join us at the 9:30 a.m. Saturday, May 1st, our 2021 Spring District Conference.
We have so many exciting sessions that you chose in our initial survey.
We start with a treasure hunt with Dr. Clue, and he'll help us with teamwork and encourage networking.
Then our keynote speaker, Dan Rex, the CEO of Toastmasters International, will inspire us.
If you want to learn more about humor in your speeches, we have a panel of funny people who will give us tips on using humor to breathe more life into your life.
I know many of you are working on expanding your audiences. Well, use our TEDx panel to teach you how to be a TED Talker.
Stephen, my club has been asking for months how to conduct a hybrid meeting in order to accommodate our members that live in other states as well as other countries when we return to in-person meetings.
Sharon, one of our sessions on hybrid meetings will teach your club and others step by step on how you can do hybrid meetings.
Well, we have so many more fascinating surprises for you at the conference, including our International Speech World Champion. Be sure to register tonight or before Saturday, April 17th, while the tickets are still $5.
Wow, that's less than a Big Mac meal or a caramel mocha frappuccino at Starbucks, and far more satisfying. All right, we're good.
We're good. We did.
Okay, back to you, Josh Marshall.
Awesome, awesome. Talk about things going on behind the scenes. You just saw a fantastic contest tonight. You're going to see a really amazing conference on May the 1st. And those two folks, Sharon Brown and Steve Melman, are leading a fantastic team, a big team, a team working in the background. How do you register? My goodness, what do you know? It's right there in the chat right now. It is May 1. Go to the District 57 website, which you all ought to know by now, d57tm.org. Look for the calendar and you can find on May 1 and you can register there. How much would you pay for a great conference with all those great presentations? How about $5 or $10? That's right. Register really, really quickly. It's $5. If you're a little slow, it's $10 and big deal. That's just 2 Big Macs or two lattes, isn't it? And one more thing before we get to the results. We just had a great contest tonight, the evaluation contest. The evaluation contest, we take it all the way to the very best evaluators in the district. And I think you can see, just listening to all our great folks, all those 9 contestants, that we had some amazing evaluation talent. Regardless of whether they come on the stage or not, I hope you wrote those names down, because these are great folks to invite to your club to do an evaluation, maybe to give evaluation tips. These are the top 9 evaluators in the entire district. So take advantage of it. I'm sure they'll all be willing to share their knowledge, insights, and expertise. And thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the volunteers. So the International Speech Contest is next week, right about this time, well, 2 hours earlier, Friday the 23rd. Again, you can go to the district website, you know what it is now, and register, no charge, 0 charge to see the contest. Now, the International Speech Contest will also be amazing. There's one more zinger about it. The winner of the district contest goes on to compete in the international contest. They go to the quarterfinals. The winner of the quarterfinals goes to the semifinals, and ultimately there'll be a group of people up on the big stage. Well, it's Zoom because it's online this year, and someone will be crowned the world champion of public speaking. And you know what? it could be someone from District 57. You don't want to miss it. Go to the district website and sign up. Are you ready to hear the results? Yeah, of course you are. There were no time disqualifications. Congratulations, all contestants. We're going to announce the top 3 winners. In third place, we have Jennifer Sue. Come online, Jennifer. Congratulations, Jennifer. All right, we're going to call her right here. Nice smile. You can get a screen capture of Jennifer if you want to, and we'll give you another chance later on. Thank you, Jennifer. In second place, why don't you go ahead and, yeah, there you go. In second place, Shalini Suresh Kumar, come on the stage. All right, congratulations. Way to go. Way to go. A little moment for screen capture. Take those pictures. Thank you. You can step back. And the winner of the district evaluation contest for 2021 is Minnie Wang. Come on up, Winnie.
Minnie!
What a fantastic job. You folks may not realize it, but these were not arbitrary choices. There were about 25 judges. So we have consensus among 25 judges. You're all great. Write down their names. Would you all be willing to visit clubs and share your knowledge? I'm sure you would. So that concludes our contest. We will have certificates and we will have trophies for you. I'm afraid I can't hand them to you over the camera right now, but we will be sending out trophies to you. So congratulations so much